Good evening, hello and welcome. This is actually the third time doing this video because of my microphone not working and a bad crop. So hello, Merry Christmas. It has actually just turned midnight, so we are Christmas Day, not the night before. Yeah, hello and welcome. My name is Seth. This is Sweet Chariot, and this is my attempt at a YouTube channel. Um, yeah, and is why I am here, not enjoying Christmas like a regular person. Merry Christmas to everyone, and do it as you feel. But this Christmas, I've decided to stick doing this. Send my love to everyone. But what I'm going to do with this time is cut through a whole bunch of you, try and complete some bows, learn some more things, and make some videos. Because what I need to do this year is this: is keep building this channel, keep learning more about this practice, this discipline. And thank you to everyone who's subscribed to help me do this. I've blown away how many people are interested. I like to think I've got a nice thing going here. There's lots to talk about, and it's an excellent avenue, gateway, pathway into something I feel, well, English modern society is missing. Something we used to cherish, and something we don't anymore. Uh, yeah, without going too deep into that, this is why I'm here. Instead of, I don't know, going out drinking or buying some things. Yeah, I'm not really doing Christmas this year, except for this, which is what we're all here for, right? This is for my nephew. He mentioned that he wanted a wooden sword. I just so happened to have a piece of ash that wanted to be a sword. Yeah, that's knots down here. That's some knots down one at the end, which wrote it off as a bow stave, really. Especially considering, well, we can talk about this. I had a really good long comment come back from a fella. Um, well, hang on, back up a sec, Seth. What are we here? Merry Christmas first and foremost. I'm here making this stuff. Let's talk through what I've done. I've been, well, pretty busy over the last 2 weeks. I've been moving workshop, for one thing, and also trying to carry on doing this. We've had some ups and downs. We've learned some things, but let's start with sold a bow. That's a good thing. Sold a number 10 Sinai to a fellow who bought it for his wife. Their son does archery, and he bought it for her so she can join in, I imagine. So thank you so much to those guys for taking a risk on my work. Yeah, I see. That was number 10. This one's number 9. These two are they're at a level now. They're at a level where I can say they work. They could potentially be competitive with other people who make bows. The other ones I've made, they absolutely work. Um, but you can't just have a bow that when selling bows, you can't just have a bow that works. You have to have a bow that works well, and works well for a decent amount of time. So that's all I can hope with Sinai that I sent off. I got it to a point of it was shooting really well and it shot a whole bunch of arrows. The rule is you don't get attached to these things until they've shot at least 100 arrows, because they can just break in the stress of it all. You could make a nice bow and what it has is X amount of releases before it lets go. You haven't successfully made a strong piece of wood. Which well, yeah, it's probably a good time to talk about. Well, yeah, sold a bow, sold Sinai, great stuff. Wrapped it up, maybe not quite as nice as I could have. Should have made a bag. But yeah, wrapped it up in some nice material and some leather and sent it off to my first bow customer. Success. Yeah, about a week later, trying to shoot this guy and get it to its full. Well, that's what happened. I successfully made a lovely 35-inch hazel fire hardened arrow. Look at those fletchings. Fletching jig was a very good purchase. Very happy with that. Yeah, this was working well. Starting to work real nice, which I guess pushed my confidence on a rashy storm here. Gonna miss this bow. It could make a smaller one, maybe. If I can get some liam out of this handle here, could maybe make a shorter one. Maybe we'll see. Got some other staves to do first. Yeah, snapped it. The bottom limb was bending too much, evidently. I was front setting the limb, trying to put energy back. Flattening each one of these curves out very slightly. Each time I did that, it add a bit more stored energy to the bow. Properly recurved it to the point where the string was touching. So I tried out one of these little string bridges rather than change the length of the string, which it did need. It needed a shorter string, which might have brought the string off of the belly of the bow, but it was slapping against here, so I built a little string bridge, which solved the problem beautifully. But like I say, having that arrow working well pushed my confidence and just took it that little bit further back. So what we're aiming for was, a good 34 inches, and you can't just hit 34 inches and that be it. You need to have a little bit past. Yeah, that's what we were trying to find. But with U-bows, they're all unique. What I should have done is aimed for a shorter draw length. Really, I mean, Kudo is cool, but what you need is a Kudo bow. Yeah, what's the problem with it? It takes a very long piece of wood, and they're hard to come by. When you're making them out of bamboo and other materials like they do traditionally, I think access to your material is a little bit more simple than trying to find a perfect piece of yew that's going to do the job well. This one was close, if I'm honest. It was really good. I'm so disappointed. What did we need to have? We needed more bend. We just needed to thin this top limb down more, especially now. I've got it nicely front set, so I think that's what we had to do. Just thin it down, take a wee bit more away, especially from down around here. But that's the balance. Yeah, I didn't know what this could do. You see, it's from quite a thin branch, this, so there's not much in the way of heartwood to play with. Always worried about going through the sapwood. I think I had more sapwood to play with. Could have taken more of that away. Yeah, it was oddly shaped down here. It was fun while it lasted. They always are, like that other horse bow that broke. Yeah. So yeah, what have we got? We had a sail, which is good. We had a break, which was bad, but we turn that into experience, right? We're gonna use what we learned on the next one. Just so happens I have another piece of wood quite similar to Arashi, similar waviness to it, but a thicker branch. So we should have more in the way of sapwood to play with, hopefully. But quite a lot of material to take away first before we can do that. That'll make a nice long 76-inch bow again. Then feeling pretty downtrodden by that, I decided to throw myself into spoke horse work and took this green piece of ash. That's green, semi-green, like 4 months old, and just went to town. It's like, right, let's whip up a bow and see what happens if we fire harden it. If it's it's not cured yet, the fire hardening should deal with that, was my thinking. If not, we've got hands on and we've learned some things. This is when I had a message. I can't remember if it was this take or another take I mentioned. I had a message from a dude who's done a lot of fire hardening, and he basically said that the ash around here isn't all that good, and even with fire hardening, you're not necessarily going to cure the problem. Which was part of the reason why I decided to just go ahead and use this ash to make the sword. Probably a better use for it. Good for handles and swords and things like that. Should do some ash arrows. And we're talking about sort of what I've attempted and what I'm going to do. The hazel arrows are great. I mean, this one is competing sort of speed and performance wise. I'd even say it's more accurate out of this bow at least. Out of Agent here, this guy is really competitive, only a little bit heavier. It's a wee bit shorter, but just a tiny bit heavier than the aluminium. So flying real good out of Agent. Let's talk about this ash bow first quickly. So I learned some things. I mean, firstly, your fire hardening isn't going to solve all your problems. You still have to have a nice piece of wood that's going to survive the bowing process. And this one was pretty decent, but there was a little waggle in the grain right at the tip, which gave a dive at the bad time, right at when I really needed it not to. So all of this was slightly uneven. And who knows, maybe it didn't like being cooked, being uneven as it is. You can see a little bit of it remaining here, just a little bit of a Seeing that sheen here, just a bit of a dive. Not quite as even as it could be. I mean, if the bow was thicker, maybe it would have survived it. Yeah, it was a combination of the wood not being perfect and me maybe not doing as much as I could to help it survive. Yeah, to say I'd rushed this one. Rush is a strong word, but I definitely could have taken a little bit more time and getting it all sized up. Yeah, so it's good. It's nice wood to work with. It's quite tough, but if the wood itself is just not all that great around here, and I have access to a whole bunch of you, which I do, it's been fun. First, before I put it away, the fire hardening surprised me, just like it did with the hazel. It's like, it does work. I mean, yeah, I don't know how far to test it. I might as well just go ahead and try and break it. Maybe not here. Oh, it is. There we go. It is good though. Yeah, let go on the front again. I'd say this is thin. I think for an ash bow. But it was just it was a slim branch I went with. It's quite nice. Like no imperfections on the front or whatever. But it means you got to sort of follow that grain. I have heard you don't really have to chase the rings with this, but I think you do have to have quite a nice thick structure to it. But yeah, this was good to get hands on, see how sort of semi-green wood feels. If it fire hardens, it definitely does something. Those tips are really nice and stiff, but yeah, like I say, it isn't going to solve all your problems. That is how a bow breaks, right there. Still, look at it, it's way tougher than it was. I mean, you could literally just bend it into place. It was that soggy, that soft. So yeah, ash to one side for the minute. But I do want to get back to that. For arrow, well, not just sword making, but I hear ash makes a good arrow. So we'll give that a go in the future as well as other arrow tips. I want to make some primitive broadheads or other types of tips. Why the hell not, eh? It's all in the arrow making is a whole other avenue for finding materials and trying techniques and whatnot. Glues, sinews, threads, things like that. We will do this, is what I'm thinking. If we can get more people along, get subscribed and likes and things like that, people can support themselves through YouTube, I hear. So should we try and do it? What is next? This, yeah, after my breaking my horse bows and my ash bows I did, I was keen to crack on and get another U-bow made up. Just got a string on this one. So he's pulling a little bit, but we don't want to go too much because I'm dealing with some twist issues. That is way better than it was. To the point where I could almost... Well, what we got to do now is make sure that the handle and these bellies match each other along this angle here. And that we've dealt with any potential twist or misalignment in the process of doing that, because when you do that, get it all nice and straight, it stiffens up. So if you've got some bend in there and you're pulling on it and tillering it, you can straighten that thing up and it will change. It will change your tiller, change the feel of it. As for strength, you definitely want it all nice and straight. Twist will make it snap. There's various things. I mean, this stave here, lovely as it is, actually came from quite a difficult piece of wood. This is probably the closest equivalent I've got. This one's actually much nicer than this one was. It's got its recurves nice and even already, fairly even. There's a bit of a waggle there that'll cause a problem. This is the challenge. You've got to try and find this piece of wood. Yep, the one that runs between here and yeah. So don't know if that wave will continue. Probably will. Yeah, this one will have its own difficulties, but straightness wise, this one isn't. This one's much nicer than this one was. This was bananaed and twisted all over the place. So the first thing I had to do was, yeah, like I say, you got to find this piece of wood from the log, and if it's twisted and you know, a weird shape, you've got to do your best to try and follow it, because that's where that join between the two woods will be. Yeah, and if you don't, being twisted as it was difficult to do, and you can't really straighten it out and see where you're at until you've taken material away. So I did my best, but in dealing with the twist and the structure of it, we've got to consider where the sapwood has run. If we've gone thin on the heartwood on one side, it looks like we have here, the heartwood's thin here and thick here. You think that will sort of affect the way that the limb wants to bend. Strong in one place and not in another, which is basically what we're trying to create. Yeah, the tiller's not looking too bad. Lay it out the way. It's a little bit steep, and we've got to try and attack down in here, and the shape of it will change when we try and recurve it as well. We're going to want to try and put just a wee bit of recurve back in those tips. But we're getting there. We've got a nice bit of material to play with in bringing that power down and trying to straighten it up. I mean, we're on the way for sure. Check the tiller. Yeah, tiller tree. I need to set up a tiller tree in here. Yeah, and the plan with this one is to replace the other horsebow that I broke. So we're going to get mahogany on the back, mahogany on the tips, and it's going to shoot off of the right hand side, and you're going to flick it out the way like that, and it's going to be awesome. At 64 inches. Yeah, got to focus on Asian bows because I need to send one to Armin over on his channel, his Asian bow archery channel. Yeah, I found him through trying to find out more about Asian bows, the way they're supposed to look, feel, the handles in particular. I mean, U bows, these are both U bows. Oh, get off. This one's a Mediterranean style, and we can make this one an Asian style. You know, more or less the same thing. It'll shoot very, very differently. And I'll tell you what, I'm all about the Asian style at the minute. It's super fun. It's really intuitive. You can be as accurate as one of these bows, and it almost feel it's not bad, but it almost feels sterile compared to the Asian style. You're going to shoot with your thumb, and you know the whole release is far more involving. You know, that has its charm, absolutely. You know, you need to sort of compare that to a compound bow. I mean, that's sort of like a step closer to a compound bow style of shooting than this would be. It's horseback archery. So you need to be all over the place. You need to be flexible and moving around. So it's different. Let's not say that one's better than the other. They are both very fun and a great way to get outdoors and start doing things and feeling good, being around plants and fresh air. Yeah, learning a skill that kept us alive for a very long time. It's a very human skill, archery. I think it's in our DNA. When you see these things, you go, that's cool. No one I have mentioned I'm doing this. Sorry. Whenever I've mentioned I'm doing this to anybody, they love it. It's always, that's so cool. Someone else to know, well, holding both, you know, a planned Asian bow and Mediterranean bow. It's international. It's internationally loved. Civilizations everywhere achieve the bow, and there's a following everywhere you go. You know, everyone loves a bow really, but well, I'll tell you, there's no archer, or maybe a couple. I think there's one up at a school, North Bristol sort of ways. St Ursula's maybe. There's an archery range there. Maybe a couple dotted around, but really not established at all. Like what you'd find in Japan, let's say, with your Q dojos, dedicated buildings like that. Yeah, not in England. It's just not enough space. Sorry, and health and safety. Sorry. Yeah. Here's me. You know, new. I've never been. I know there's archery ranges in Wales. Just up the road from the Wales archery specialists. But there's just, you know, I am just a newbie into this, but surely there could be more. It's not a difficult thing to create a 3D archery range. You need a piece of forest. Yeah, we've got lots. Well, say we've got lots of that. We've got lots of places where trees grow. Maybe not the nicest forest, but you can, enough to hide some targets and make you feel like you're in the wilderness a bit. But anyway, I digress. Bow making plans next. What is next? Yeah, we're going to finish this up. We're going to burn this. Going to get this all black and burned and finished up and give it out to my nephew, because that's about my only contribution to Christmas this year, because otherwise I'm going to be reducing all of this wood here. Let's talk about this wood a little bit more. Let's see what else we've got here. This is something else to do. stick making. I've got some more shillelagh to knock up. These sell better than my bows do. Hopefully not in the future. We'll get a point where I can reliably and more quickly make nice quality bows like this. Oh, let's get them close up to the camera because this one is for sale. But £30 at 29 inches. This one. Get a good old look at it. Came together really well. Flat bow. The handle moulded from one piece of wood. Something like, well, that bow there began life. A smaller version of this log here, but this is the same deal. Gonna try and, well, I put this one off because I lost a lot of energy to knocking up that ash bow over there. So this one came from a skinnier stave. I knew I had a good piece in there, and it's, but it wasn't going to cost me too much energy to release it. Maybe not the best piece, but yeah, like I say, it was going to be easy to get to. This one is, it's quite a lot of meat to go. Not on the limbs, but on the handle. Be nice to have some power tools for that one, bench saw or something like that. Just whip off the edges there. Yeah, and then it's the sculpting the handle is difficult. So yeah, I might go for an Asian horsebow style with this one again. Yeah, not just because it's more simple and easier to do, but because they are fun. You can shoot them off both sides as well. If you design them right, you can shoot them off the right hand and the left hand side. Using your thumb or your Mediterranean style draw. If it's nicely lined up and designed properly. Yes. Which is the next challenge, which is that one. Need to get that one back on the jig. Make sure that top limb is straight. But yeah, shillelaghs. They're always fun. They're always beautiful when they come together. I've got some up on eBay. Probably the less attractive ones, I guess, of the ones I have left. That's why I haven't sold yet. I think they're all awesome. I'm amazed the ones that are there are still there. But yeah, these have gone all over the place. All over the place in the UK. And then to the Americans, 4, I think. I've sent to the United States 3 or 4. Yeah, it's always nice to get an order from the States and send these across the pond. The other one, send them to Yorkshire. I had 1 or 2 maybe from Yorkshire, at least from up north. One of them, definitely one went to Yorkshire. I felt honoured that a Yorkshireman was going to be walking around the Dales with one of my sticks. Yes, need to do some more of those. And then forage some more wood. It's winter time, right? So I've just had a storm. So yeah, I'm going to go find some wind-fallen wood. Hopefully the tree next to the one where I've got all this Pacific yew from. This is Pacific yew, this is Pacific yew. Hopefully the tree next to that has also come down. It's half fallen down, so the branches on one side were still alive, branches on the facing down were dead. It was lent up against another tree, so who knows, maybe the storm took it down. And also I happened into a patch of what I believe is common yew. Yeah, it's different. The bark is different, and the sapwood and the heartwood. Well, the heartwood is more orderly. It doesn't seem to be as dense. I think it's common yew. I'm no expert. Once again, please, people, chime in and tell me. I'll get a bit closer. Stay there. Yeah, pretty confident this is Pacific yew. The bark is quite distinctive. This still has it's flaky, but it's closer to sort of fractured bark like oak is. And then it's just slightly different shade. They've got slightly more similar as they've cured. Yeah, just very slightly different. I have made this bow. Some of my earlier ones with dragon. Dragon was made out of this. Works really well. But I also had a lot of fails. I couldn't put it down. Was I starting too early on it? Was it still too wet? Not cured enough? But then I had noticed at that point that it was different yew. It was definitely yew, but it was different yew to this stuff. It wasn't quite as strong. So who knows? That's another thing to do. I need to get on this specific yew again. Now it's been dried out for a decent amount of time and see how well it performs. Like I said, I've made it bow. but it wasn't very forgiving. If I made a hinge at all, it would just it'd have compression fractures and the thing would give up. So I say I don't know if that's from a bad cure, it's just not cured yet, it's still wet and not cured, or if it's just not as dense wood, it's just not as good for making bows from. I wouldn't be surprised. I think Pacific Yew is the one. Well, in my experience anyway, this is Pacific Yew. Both of these are. I was disappointed by this. I diverted my energy. It's like, no, you got to make these decisions. You're going to put a lot of energy into making these things, so it's worth starting with a decent piece of wood. But how do you know what's a decent piece of wood until you learn all about it? So that's what's next. Like I say, we're going to go do some more foraging. Whittle through some of this, so I don't feel like I've got a horde of yew. Let's actually make some bows out of them, but the plan is definitely to get out and try some birch. And wych elm is the other, popular English bow wood. But Dutch elm disease is causing problems here, as you probably all know. So if I find windfallen elm, it's liable to have beetle damage, which is not good for bow making. And if I find an undamaged elm, that means it's probably resistant to the beetle, and I shouldn't be damaging it and risking taking it out of the gene pool, because you can grow, bug resistant elm from that particular tree. So yeah, it almost feels like elm needs protecting more than yew does. So yeah, if I can find more yew, always going to scoop them up. Birch will do. What was the other one? Yeah, I've heard you can make bows from hazel. We'll keep hazel in the back pocket. Maple is another one. We've got lots of maple around here. And like I say, it's winter time, so if we're dealing with greenwood, now is the time to cut it because it's got the least amount of moisture in it. And we've just had a storm, so if trees are going to have come down, they would have come down recently. So we need to get those before they hit the ground. If they can dry, stood up off the ground, you can get very lucky. Like this one here, big old yew tree. But so many branches that it kept itself up off the ground, so a lot of them on one side have cured well. There's some still dug in the ground which look pretty good, but not getting to those, not until I get rid of the main trunk. We'll get back and do that. I'll do a video where I found all this wood, because it's a blessed spot. It's a gift, turns out. I had to put a lot of work in to unlock it, but look at it. Look what we managed to do with it. Just lay there rotting. Just walking past it, no one knew. No one knew. Yeah, this has been fun. Finding out about this wood, and yeah, definitely seeing doorways into other bits of learning and other bits of creation. So let's go ahead and do that. Lots to do. So yeah, that's my Christmas. Tomorrow is going to be sore hands, sat on that spoke horse, cutting all this wood. So wish me luck, and happy Christmas everyone, and thank you to everyone who subscribed. Let's stay there. Let's build this. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed, liked, please feel free to do so. You will be helping a new channel, and someone who, I like to think I've put a lot of work into getting this here, and it would be nice to see it grow. Nice to shoot next to a koi pond again in a field that we've bought with YouTube money to make more bows. Yeah, thanks again, and have yourselves a lovely day and a happy new year. Summer's coming. Much love everyone. I'll see you in the next one.